All of the empowered principles are about bettering the self so that you can help the other. It's in this symbiosis that we find our greatest value. We believe that a truly empowered life is one that gives itself fully to the betterment of its community because it actually gains value in doing so. It's a life that gives just as much as it receives. This is what we call the principle of win-win focus.
Nature is full of examples of this principle. Take the honeybee and its relationship to flowers. In order to reproduce, the flower relies on the pollination provided by the bees as it flies from blossom to blossom. The bee is then able to eat the flower's nectar, which it depends on to live. One thing cannot survive without the other.
In the empowered classroom, every day is full of examples of win-win focus. Let's turn to our empowered community to see what this looks like.
We all have this idea in life, wherever it came from, that there have to be winners and losers. And the idea of win-win focus causes students to pause and allows them to connect to opportunities where they can see that I can benefit, but also you can benefit. And that is a pretty significant shift to what they've probably heard for most of their life. This win-win focus, what might feel like not as great of a success to one person or not like that much value is created, to somebody else it can be a much higher level. And so that's why offering the opportunities to constantly show a win-win focus and develop it, students will recognize over time the situations where they do see a ton of value created. It can anchor them to where they perhaps are weak in a certain skill set, but somebody else is much stronger. How can we work together to both reach the outcome that we're trying to achieve? And this, I don't want that to sound like we're gonna have students cheating off of each other, but this is where creating a learning environment where there are meaningful problems presented to solve is the opportunity for students to collaborate and to work together and recognize where their strengths lie and where the strengths of others lie, and how can we connect to reach an optimal outcome.
Win-win is always going to benefit you more than being out for yourself. Business story after business story, time and time again, it's been shown if you are willing to cooperate with someone, you're probably going to get way further than when you're just in it for yourself. And the same thing happens in the classroom. If you're trying to do it yourself, or if you're taking stuff from other teams and you're not working together, as much as you have that drive and that competitive spirit to win, the team who actually worked with the other teams to maybe trade items or have a conversation, they're probably still gonna do better than you did. Again, it's pulling on, everyone has different skills. And I love putting kids in groups that they don't pick themselves, because they start to see the skills of the other students and they can see how, oh, Johnny who sits in the corner who says nothing can actually help me with this and provide a win-win situation.
Going through these activities, it's so awesome to see my students move from a situation where they're only concerned about themselves and they're only thinking about themselves to where they're building networks to make sure that not only are they successful, but they can make sure that they can look out for the success of other people, because they don't see it as a detriment, but they see it as a win. It's one of my favorite principles to actually debrief and to talk about.
When you go out and you work in any kind of setting, you don't want to be the only winner within your company, because then that means everybody else is losing. When we can spread it outward and we can spread that benefit across others, then we all rise up. Teachers are some of the most win-win focused people that I've ever met. We are constantly wanting to share the best curriculum or the best activity ideas. You can think of the new teachers that come into your building and how it seems like they're immediately swarmed by more veteran teachers that are just wanting to help and make sure that they're ready to go. That is win-win focus. We know that when we support each other as peers and colleagues, that benefits all of our students together. We all have this outcome in mind of what we want our students to become. And when we have this idea of if we can collaborate and connect and cooperate with each other to create really important, meaningful, authentic learning experiences, all of our students will benefit and we'll all reach that outcome that we're striving for.
When you have a team around you and you are hearing their experiences, or maybe they do an activity that you hadn't even thought of doing because they kind of created it themselves with the empowered values, you can be like, oh, that's awesome. How did you do this? Well, I did it this way. And I feel like there's a reason that we are people that are built for community, because we build off of each other. I've even just sat in another teacher's classroom while I'm building my own curriculum just to bounce ideas off of her. And I've seen a lot better outcome when I'm doing it with somebody else or talking to somebody else. And so then when the students see us as teachers doing that, and we're not all in it for ourselves and we're not trying to be, I'm the best teacher, I'm better than so-and-so, when they see, no, all of our teachers and staff are on the same team and they're all working together to bring this outcome for us, then they can see that modeled in their own classroom experiences, which is what they can bring into the real world.
Winston Churchill once said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." That's why Empowered defines the principle of win-win focus as cooperation creates real value in society for yourself and others.
Although you cannot control the actions of those around you, you do have a stake in constructing a healthy win-win mindset. You will find fullness of life when giving to and receiving from your community.
This idea of win-win is not something that's just applied in a classroom. These principles are designed that they start to impact you in every field of your life. You want those around you to benefit from your success just as much as you do.
Seizing the success and the opportunity to be a great teacher is creating value for your students. You're shaping minds. You're sending kids out into the world that have this mindset of, I can seize the opportunities presented to myself. That's a really powerful ripple effect that will go through a community. So if a student recognizes that there is a need for a youth center in their community because a lot of kids are out on the streets and they don't have a place to hang out, and they go and create that youth center, you have students then, or you have kids that are then going and spending their time, and what does that do for the crime rates and all of, there's this ripple effect. We all want to improve. We all want to help people overcome barriers, and the classroom is the perfect setting to get students to start practicing that mindset.
All too easily, we can be fooled into a false sense of success when we approach life through a win-lose mindset. If we are gaining at the expense of someone else's loss, can we really call that winning? Will that really result in the success of our students, our careers, our communities?
Just as the honeybee and the flower thrive equally in their interactions, we too need a balance of giving and taking in order to live a full and satisfying life.